Is an empty nest best? Co-residence with adult children and parental marital quality before and after the Great Recession by Eden M. Davis, Kaijun Kim, and Karen L. Fingerman. So in this article, they start off by talking about how since the Great Recession, there has been a steady increase in adult co-residency in the parental home in the United States. And how, although there has been this steady increase of co-residency, there is still very little known about the effects of grown children who remain in the home or return to live with parents under different circumstances and conditions. So then on to the literature review. Before I really get into it, the whole encompassment of the literature review is basically that research on co-residency with adult children and parental marital quality is very mixed. And what I mean by that is that the research available has found findings that are very contradictory or very very varied. So one study is finding this, and then another study is finding the complete opposite of that. And this is can be explained because when it comes to marriage, it's all very dependent on different circumstances and different conditions of that marriage, and that's why when studying it, the results are very varied and very different and very mixed. Now, deeper into the literature review, so basically, when researchers have studied marital quality in general, not specifically only to co-residency, but in general marital quality over the life course, they have kind of described it in the shape of a U, and saying how marital quality is at its highest point at the beginning of the marriage when it's like the honeymoon stage and the marriage is just starting out, and then it starts slowly declining during the childbearing years. But then there's the upswing in marital quality when children leave the home, and this is due to the privacy and the intimacy and being in the whole empty nest phase and all that. So he says that a lot of researchers have found this whole U-shaped thing to be true and have found consistent findings with this idea. But then he goes on to say that despite that this being very true for many researchers, there's other longitudinal studies of marital quality that have reported inconsistent findings, and how that point to a decline in marital quality after the early years of marriage, but report either stability or declines in marital quality in the middle age and later years of marriage. So basically how, again, it's the research on marital quality over the life course is very varied, and it has two different results. He then goes on to say that not all studies about marital quality have considered parenting transitions as a key feature in marital quality trajectories. He also says that when studying the empty nest, a few of the studies have found that it's led to an increase in marital quality after children have left the home, and that this can be described because this increase in marital satisfaction can be driven by the increase of enjoyment time with partners and the decreased work-family conflict that occurs when there is children residing in the home. He says that other researchers have found and reported that transitions in and out of co-residence with adult children were not associated with declines or improvements in marital quality. That it describes increases in time spent with spouses when children left the nest and decreases in time spent if children returned to the nest. But there was no association between co-residence with adult children and marital quality or number of marital disagreements. So again, very, very, very contradictory research when it comes to the whole marital quality and aspects of co-residency, of leaving and returning to the home. He then goes on to say that a lot of the research has found notable findings that has focused on parental gender as a main factor of their research, and he says that more specifically with mothers, and this is because mothers are hypothesized to have more engagement or participation in the child's life and a greater share of parenting responsibilities when it comes to that child. So usually a lot of the research has focused mainly on the mothers, and he says that in addition to parent gender, he personally thinks it is important to consider how intergenerational co-residence patterns are situated in a broader social and historical context. So basically how social and historical factors can affect the perception of co-residency amongst the parents and the child. So now into the methods. So basically in this study, they dealt with a sample that included 287 married middle-aged parents with a mean age of about 50. It was their ages ranged from 40 to 60 years old. Basically, they completed measures of marital quality, child problems, and co-residence at 2 time points, before and after the Great Recession, more specifically 2008 and 2013. So basically, like I just said, they participated in 2 different waves of the family exchange study, FES, and this provided data on marital quality and child co-residence during both of the waves. In 2008, 633 middle-aged parents with at least one child 18 years older completed a telephone interview lasting approximately 1 hour. And in this interview, they were asked different questions about the marital quality, about child problems, and about the living arrangement itself. One of the dependent variable in this study was the marital quality, and to assess this, they used a one-item measure, which was this question. It was basically, how would you rate your overall quality of your relationship with your spouse at the time? And when they said at the time, it meant at the time of this while your child is co-residing in your home. And the answer was scored from 1 being the poorest and 5 being the most excellent. So basically, it just worked through telephone interviews that would study all these things, and they did it again in 2008 and 2013 to test the differences. So basically, now onto the studies. This study examines how co-residence with adult children is associated with parental marital quality before and after the Great Recession. In this study, they also examined how residency with with a child suffering problems, how that can be associated with a change in marital quality, and this was they examined this because child's problems may co-occur with or necessitate co-residency. So if a child has a problem, it usually leads for that child to have to live with the parent. So that is why they decided to also examine this in this study. Basically, one of the major findings of this study was that marital relationship was embedded within broader family ties as well as societal and economical context. Changes within the family and the economy appear to shape the marital tie. Findings from the 2008 wave found that co-residing with an adult child was associated with lower parental marital quality. Specifically, mothers appeared to show the lowest marital quality when living with an adult child. However, this is a very interesting finding. In 2013, co-residence with an adult child was no longer associated with parental marital quality. It didn't increase it, but it didn't decrease it either. And this could be described because by the time of 2013, co-residency amongst a parent and adult child has already become a more normative and normal thing compared to 2008 when it wasn't as normal. And that is why maybe it's so changing, because as we know already from previous research, one of the main reasons it causes problems between the parents is that it's this whole expectation that the child isn't going to come back, and they end up coming back, and then that you're like that whole like shock factor causes decrease in quality of life and marital quality and all that. So maybe if it's become more of a normal thing by 2013, that is why there hasn't been a significant decrease of marital quality at that time. In 2013, like I just said, co-residency was no longer associated with parental marital quality. Results from 2013 have also showed that having a child who was experiencing problems was associated with lower parental marital quality, but that was not the case in 2008. Further, in 2013, parents who lived with adult children with an adult child suffering problems had significantly lower marital quality than parents who lived with a child not suffering problems, or parents who had a child with problems who did not, or who had a child who did not co-reside and that child had problems. So basically, just to wrap up all the main findings of this article, marital quality from co-residence status revealed that co-residence with a child was associated with lower parental marital quality in 2008, but not in 2013, when it may have been considered more normative to have an adult child living in the home. Additional analysis of 2013 showed that living with a child who was suffering problems was associated with lower marital quality. The difference between the contradictory findings of from 2008 to 2013 can suggest that co-residency may be detrimental to marital quality, but perhaps only when co-residence is non-normative or when co-residence co-occurs with child's problems. So basically, again, this whole study proves that marital quality is very dependent on certain circumstances or conditions within that marriage or within that living arrangement, that it's not always just like a cookie cutter answer or result, that it all depends on the situation.